What is going on, guys? Dave from Wake Up It's Football doing a solo edition of the Red Zone Blitz tonight. Ezra is unfortunately not going to be able to make it. He has some work duties that he's got to get to, and I actually did try to get a couple other YouTubers on tonight, but unfortunately they were unavailable as well. So, hey, solo episode of the Red Zone Blitz on my own channel. I'm okay with that. I'm going to be taking your guys' questions. I'm going to be talking to you guys directly tonight, recapping week one, looking ahead towards week two, and just kind of hanging out with you guys on this one. And we'll also hit on the Red Zone Blitz Fantasy Football League as well. Unfortunately, Ezra and I did not do as well as we wanted in week one, but we'll get to that. Now, heading down to the FanDuel comment box, momentarily, we already in the chat, we already got Super Hippo 95, Nebraska Dude 74. Shout out to Nebraska Dude, says it's the best YouTube live stream. Appreciate that, Nebraska Dude. And you know, one thing I don't ever really say on the show, and I probably should, is tell your guys' friends about the show. You know, that's one thing that I don't really promote that, only because you know, I just don't like to toot my own horn. I guess you can say when it comes to doing the channel, it's like I don't like to promote it as well or as much as I probably should, only because it's just like I don't like to draw attention to myself. It's like, you know, if you like it, you like it, and if you don't, you don't. But if you know you have friends who like football, who are on the internet every 2 seconds, tell them, hey, you know, every Wednesday night there's a show on YouTube called the Red Zone Blitz. Check in, subscribe, tune in, all that good stuff. We talk almost every week, unless there's, you know, ever a time where we can't make it. But, yeah, we're going to get the show started. First and foremost, going back to week one with Cam Newton, the Carolina Panthers heading to Denver for that showdown to really start the first game of the season. And the main storyline from that game, if you haven't already heard, which I'm sure everyone has, was all of the hits that Cam Newton took, helmet to helmet, all the violent hits that everyone said that should have been flagged, and things of that nature. Now, I watched that game almost to its entirety, and I watched all the big hits happen as they happened. And I'll tell you what, it was one of those things where I thought Cam Newton, with the exception of one of those 4 hits that everyone keeps talking about, I thought they were clean hits. I thought they were football plays. I thought they were plays that 5-10 years ago, nobody would have really looked at it and be like, oh, big deal, you know? But now with the whole, we got to protect the quarterback, we got to watch all this concussion crap, now everyone makes a big deal out of it. And today came out the fines. Today were the fines of the 2 Broncos that really laid into Cam Newton. I got to look up the names. Those 2 Broncos who were fined, because I just know that they were fined. I can't remember the 2 names. But with that being said, I thought that they were more than that. I thought they were football plays. People, I thought, made a bigger deal of it than what it was. Brandon Marshall and Darian Stewart were the 2 Broncos who were fined on the helmet-to-helmet hits on Cam Newton. There was one late in the game that happened. I was like, okay, you know, that looks a little suspect. But I think football players just need to play football, man. I think this league is starting to get too soft. It really is. And I'm starting to really get sick and tired of watching people complain about things that really shouldn't even be talked about, let alone complained about. And now we're seeing it here. You might as well just start throwing red jerseys on quarterbacks. I'm serious. Start doing something if you're going to be fining players for trying to make a play. And it's not only the Cam Newton game. It's all of the games where you sit there and you watch, I don't know, a player who can't control his momentum coming into the quarterback. Quarterback gets rid of the ball, and you really have no choice because you're already headed, you know, 20 miles an hour at the quarterback. You try to avoid him, you still hit him, and you get a flag thrown for roughing the passer. You know, there's those unavoidable situations, unavoidable plays where, you know, I feel like they need to almost coach the refs on when to flag and when not to flag. But now, in the last especially 5 years, every time a quarterback even gets remotely touched, 15-yard penalty. And those penalties are huge. Those are momentum shifters. Those are big gains at times where if it's a 3rd and long, you rough the passer, now it's an automatic first down. So it does impact the game. It does impact the game. Oh, we want to make the sport safer. If you're making the sport safer, Roger Goodell, then maybe, just maybe, you should think about the effects in which this, some of these outcomes are happening for these games, especially with these penalties. Yes, these players were fined for the hits on Cam Newton. Understandable. They're not being suspended. If they got suspended, I'd lose my mind because all they were doing was playing football. It wasn't malicious. It wasn't very clear that the intentions weren't, I thought, there all the way. But people would just want to make a story out of it. And here we are talking about a football player trying to make a tackle, and boom, helmet to helmet. And he's fined for it. So it looks like Ezra's in the chat. Did not notice that. I don't know. I'm assuming Ezra's at work right now. It looks like he's at work talking to us. That's awesome. It's hilarious. It's Ezra. So that's to be expected. Now, Bird Gang says, I agree with you, Dave, regarding this subject that we're just talking about here. A Panthers player was also fined. I did not hear about that in Nebraska, dude, so I'll have to look into that at some point. But it kind of begs the question. This is just me thinking, because if they want to sit here and say the sport should be safer, and this is going to sound crazy because this is not what football is. Football, helmets, pads, everything, right? What if they just let's entertain this thought. Let's just think about this for a second, okay? I may have mentioned this once before on the Red Zone Blitz a long time ago, but let's think about this thought, because we're talking right now, right? What if the football turned into something along the lines of rugby, where they don't have pads, they don't have helmets, where players aren't going to lead with their helmets, aren't going to use their helmets as a weapon. If you don't have a helmet on your head, you're not going to lead in with your head to make a tackle. That's just something you're not going to do. You're going to use more of your body to body contact, rather than using that helmet as a weapon or as a piece of the tackling. Now, I did recently hear, I didn't look into it, that some coaches or players or something along those lines, they're going to start using techniques that rugby players use to tackle to start coaching that into football, which makes sense. But as far as the helmets and all of those things, yes, they're there to protect the head from concussions and things like that. But then there is that side where they're using those helmets to essentially make a tackle, or to make an impactful play, where if you didn't have that helmet on, you couldn't do that. That's not something that you can do. But I highly doubt that goes anywhere. That's just my thinking about, of it. You take the helmet away, you're going to see obviously less of that head-to-head contact being made. The only worrisome thing is you take the helmet off, if a player gets just, blindsided or whatever the case is, his head is hitting the turf. His head is hitting the ground, and that's gonna be a concussion there. So there's two sides to that debate. It's kind of a hard argument to make. Ezra says his boss is here. He's got to go. I'll see you guys on Twitter. I'll be 1-1 next week in the fantasy league. That's Ezra, man. Ezra's a goofball. We got people hitting me up on Twitter. I got to get to Twitter because they're asking me if there's going to be a show tonight. I got to get the link for these guys on Twitter here. It would help if I actually had this pulled up. Let me reply to Piff Smoke on Twitter, who's actually in the Fantasy Football League. Let me get to that Fantasy Football League. Right after I respond to Piff Smoke here. I had an interesting scenario in the fantasy football league. Ezra and I are in separate divisions. I did that on purpose. We have 6 teams in each division. I believe I went up against Del Aki this week, who actually his team was completely auto drafted. He wasn't able to make the draft, and he beat me by 5 points. But with that said, my problem with my team was I made a mistake by benching Willie Snead, and in my flex spot, I put in Gio Bernard. And that really came back to bite me. Snead put up like 25 points. I think Bernard put up, 4, 5, 6 points like that. I lost by 5, so Snead could have done it for me. I missed out. I started the season 0-1. Just copy this link here and send it on Twitter. Ezra, I got to go see how Ezra's team did. Let's see here. Ezra, his team is Kitchen Bacon. He's 0-1 as well. Go to the scoreboard. Ezra lost 94-97. And that, I believe, he started Gronk as well, and Gronk did not play in week 1. Ebron was on his bench, so he would have won his matchup if he had not benched Ebron. Ebron put up 10 points. So that's tough. Both Ezra and I, 0-1. A lot of you guys, let's see. Let's look at the standings. Give you guys shout-outs for joining this league so far. Straight Cash Homie is Nicholas Guzman. Hude. Logan Ferris, La Mesa Chargers is Del Aki. You guys are all 1-0 in the Dave division. And then Gridiron Seahorses, who's Zachification, Raider Hazard are 1-0 in the Ezra division. So congrats, you guys, all 6 of you guys, for starting the season out undefeated. But we'll see how long that continues. If you guys missed out on the fantasy football episode, it was actually last episode a little while ago. You guys can just head over to Wake Up It's Football on YouTube and check that out. See the teams we drafted and all that fun stuff. That whole entire episode is up on my channel. So we just got I opened up the show with Cam Newton, Denver Broncos, Carolina Panthers, the whole shots to the head that he took and the players that got fined for it. Didn't get much reaction from you guys. I know you guys are still trickling in right now. First Jaguars game. Packers and Jaguars. Here's the thing. I'm going to talk about the Jaguars first. And it's already been mentioned. The Jaguars are a very talented and up-and-coming team. Offensively, they look good. Defensively, they look good. If I was an AFC South fan, or if I was a Texans, Colts, Titans fan, I'd watch out for the Jags. They're going to bring the heat this year. They looked like a team to be reckoned with. I thought the Packers, to go down to a young, talented team like the Jaguars in 100-degree heat on the road to pull out a win, I thought it was a good win. It wasn't everything, but it was a good win. I think one notable from that game, late in the game, the Packers were up 24-20. And they were inside, I believe, the Jaguars' 5-yard line. Weren't able to punch it in. Aaron Rodgers wanted to go for it on 4th and down. Mike McCarthy called the field goal unit out on the field to get the 3 points to put them up by a touchdown. Aaron Rodgers clearly was disapproved of the decision and wanted to go for it, wanted to score those points. Now, again, the score is 24-20. If the Packers go for it, now we're talking, and if they don't make it, now we're talking 24-20. The Jaguars came back, kicked the field goal. Score would have been 24-23, and the Jaguars had the ball late, last possession of the game. They got it deep in Packers territory where all they would have needed was a field goal to win 26-24 if the Packers had gone for it and not made it. But McCarthy took the field goal, 27-20. Jaguars kick a field goal and get the ball late in the last possession of the game where they needed a touchdown to win. So it was one of those things where if Aaron Rodgers did get the keys to that car, did put the keys in the ignition, and the car didn't start, the Packers would have lost that game. So I thought, hats off to Mike McCarthy there for making the smart decision, taking the 3 points, taking the points to put them a touchdown ahead and forcing the Jaguars late in the game to actually go for a touchdown rather than win the game with a field goal. So I thought the Packers pulled it out, and we're heading into week 2 going to Minnesota. How about Coach Del Rio's big? I can't say some of those words live, but let's just say Del Rio had some he showed his manhood out on the football field last Sunday against the Saints. For those who don't know, with that Raiders-Saints game on the road, I believe Saints late in the game scored a touchdown with like 40 seconds left. Score was Saints 34, Raiders 33. Raiders went for the 2-pointer, made it to win by 1 point, 35-34 on the road against the New Orleans Saints. Hey, man, that's a great win for another young team who I think is going to be on the rise this year, who I have them winning a wild card spot. So, it's one of those things where the Raiders are a team who haven't really done anything for the last, I'd say, 13, 14 years since Rich Gannon took them to the Super Bowl. And you know what, man? It's about time. Del Rio said, you know what? It's about time. Our backs have been up against the wall for a long time now. We got nothing left to lose, man. Let's go for it. Let's do it. They went for it. They got it. They got the first win of the season, and that's how you want to start your year. It gives your guys confidence in the locker room. It's one of those things that's a confidence booster. Yeah, if you would have missed it, you start the season 0-1, but when you start the season 1-0, it's just one of those things that it's a morale boost. It's one of those things you you look around, you're like, all right, guys, we started the season out on the right foot, regardless of whether we won by 1 point or by 50 points. It doesn't matter. The point is we won. So I thought they did a fantastic job there, and the decision, paid off for them. So good for the Oakland Raiders. They start the season out at 1-0. Jared Constantino, thanks, David. Good to hear a fellow Packers fan opinion. No problem. Go Pack, go. Hopefully we get another one in Minnesota this week. Let your guys' comments trickle in. I know it's a little different doing a solo show. I tried to get a couple guys on tonight, but a lot of them were unavailable. So I do apologize, but I did try. Now, show means you can be seeing my pretty face the whole time. Some of you guys don't want to see my pretty face the whole time, but I apologize. More week 1 matchups that were, I thought, really interesting. San Diego and Kansas City, especially San Diego to go into Kansas City. It's a divisional game. Not many people had the Chargers. They didn't give them a shot. They didn't give them a chance to win this game at all. And they didn't, but they were up on the Chiefs. It was something like 24-3, 24-10, something in the third quarter. And here come the Chiefs, rumbling back into the game. Spencer Ware had a big one. I think he had 129 receiving yards, not rushing yards, 129 receiving yards. So when Jamal Charles comes back, he's gonna really have to come back and win that job, because Spencer Ware right now is looking like the number 1 running back in Kansas City. But KC forced overtime. They won that game. Hats off to them. They're always this, especially in the last couple of years. They're that really gritty team who knows how to pull those wins out. So good for them. I thought that was a great game if you watched it. Seattle beat Miami 12-10. Not one of those scores that I expected. I thought Seattle would blow them out, especially at home. There was an exciting one in Indianapolis where the Lions pulled it out 39-35. And Arizona could have beat New England at home, but Chandler Costanzo, I can't even pronounce his last name. He ended up missing a game-winning field goal. Patriots edge out the Cardinals 23-21. That was a Sunday night game where Jimmy Garoppolo did not look that bad. David Johnson looked pretty solid. He looked, he had 89 yards on the ground, but one of those running backs who has a promising future, broke some tackles, looked like beast mode 2.0 at times. So I think the Cardinals could bounce back this week against the Buccaneers. And then, I'd say we saw two steals on Monday Night Football. I saw the Pittsburgh Steelers demolish the Redskins. And right now, I'd have to say the worst team in the league is the Los Angeles Rams. No points. They put up a big goose egg. They didn't even look like a college, looked like a high school football team. They look terrible. And Case Keenum starts. They have, I believe, somewhere along the lines of 10 or 11 possessions. 9 ended in punts. Maybe 8 ended in punts. 2 interceptions and turnover on downs. And the storyline there is you start Case Keenum, who doesn't get you diddly, to phrase Jim Mora. He doesn't get you anything at the quarterback position. And he is your best option over Sean Mannion and the number 1 overall draft pick in I already forgot the damn name. He's sitting on the bench. He didn't even dress up. If he's your best option, he can't get you any points. It's going to be a long season for Todd Gurley and the St. Louis Rams. They're going to be facing 7, 8, 9-man boxes because they can do is run the ball. They're not going to be able to throw the ball. I feel bad for St. Louis receivers. Tavon Austin, if you put up a big goose egg this week, man, I'd be demanding. I want to be on a team where I can have at least 50 yards receiving in a game and know my quarterback can throw the ball. Case Keenum looked like hot garbage. That team looked like that offense looked sluggish. Sluggish is a very generous word, I'd say. Todd Gurley was shut down, 47 yards on 17 carries. I mean, Jeff Fisher's got to figure this one out really fast, man. Really fast. I don't know what happened, man. But Jared Goff, he's got to be that guy for them. He's got to be the guy. I don't care how confident you are in him for whatever reason, or if you don't have confidence in Jared Goff, you don't think he's ready, guess what? Anything is better at this point than what we saw from Case Keenum. Put in Jared Goff. Give him the experience. I'd rather have Jared Goff put up 0 points right now and look like Case Keenum did and at least grant him the experience than see what Case Keenum did on national spotlight, and he looked like crap. Put Jared Goff in. Make sure this week he at least suits up. Because if Case Keenum, I believe, has already been declared the starter, you better damn make sure that Case Keenum, if he stinks on first or second possession, Jared Goff better start warming up on the sideline. Because the fans did not get all excited for you to put up a goose egg, especially for the first game of the season. You should be embarrassed of yourself, St. Louis Rams, especially that offense. Todd Gurley, I'm sorry, man. Todd Gurley's going to be a long year for you. It's going to be a long year for you. Because if nobody can throw the ball, you're done, man. You can't. You're just not going to be able to stack the box. And they're playing the Seahawks this week, man. The Seahawks, divisional rival, they know the Rams. They play them twice a year. Their defense is good. I mean, if you have Todd Gurley in one of your fantasy leagues, I'd be careful with that play. I'd be careful playing him. I would be very cautious because he very well could put up another 40, 50-yard game. Because if Case Keenum has started that game, you might as well get about it. Bird Gang says Jared Goff is in a horrible situation. So I definitely say so. Is in a horrible situation. Jared Goff. Let me tell you guys. I said this. I've already said it before. It's nothing new. Jared Goff got overdrafted. The Rams. Willie Snead, is that the GM? I gotta make sure I'm saying the name right. I'm pretty sure. Who the hell is the GM in St. Louis? Or in Los Angeles now? So who is it? Snead. Something Snead. Rams GM. What's his name? It's not Willie Snead. What am I saying? Come on, Google, hurry up. Les Snead. Les Snead, that guy. Les Snead, with this move for Jared Goff, has to be on the hot seat. Has to be on the hot seat. From a talent perspective, Jared Goff and Carson Wentz as well, not worth number 1, number 2 picks in this. Not worth it. And the Eagles and the Rams gave up an arm, a leg, an ear. They just gave everything. The whole everything, gave it all for Jared Goff, who I don't think is talented enough for that number 1 overall pick. And they're sitting him on the bench as their back. They didn't even dress him. I don't know, man. The Rams, they're messing up big time. And then you find that gem in the 3rd or 4th round, like a Russell Wilson. Not saying Dak Prescott is that guy yet, but I'll tell you what, Drew Brees and Brett Favre are no first-round picks either. So, you give up so many directions for guys who you think are going to, be these ultimate warriors at quarterback, and it's just not the case. So, I don't know. The Rams are, I think, going to finish last in the NFL this year. And it's probably bad to judge it just off of one game, but right now I kind of have no choice. Bird Gang, I believe, says he's a bum regarding Les Snead. Some of the trades I thought he's made before this one for Goff is good stuff. And if he was the GM for the RG3 trade, good stuff. But then he just made himself look stupid with Goff now. Jason Fay, what are your top 10 for the power rankings? Power rankings. That's a good question. I'll pull those up, and I'll get to those in a minute. I'll definitely get to the power rankings in a minute. Ohio Pats fan, ran first to the Pats after week 4 for Jimmy G. Unfortunately for the Rams, I don't think the Patriots would even do that. I think they're waiting for Tom Brady. I think Jimmy G takes the reins after Tom Brady leaves. But after seeing what Minnesota gave up for Bradford, why not? Did I talk about Sam Bradford? Were we? I don't know if I talked about Sam Bradford or not on the Red Zone Blitz with that trade. But I thought the Eagles won that trade hands down for the Sam Bradford trade. A first and a 4th, which is surprising to me. The Eagles, remember, they didn't have a first-round pick since they gave it up for Carson Wentz. Now they got it back. So hats off to the Eagles for making that happen. Jason Fay, Jeff Fisher is smart enough to fix the situation. That's as much as I like Jeff Fisher for whatever godforsaken reason. I can't agree with that statement only because Jeff Fisher is who has not been able to coach winning football teams. The Rams have not been a football team. He was with the Titans. They weren't really a winning football team. It's a little bit surprised he's still head coaching. Because his resume, if it was any other coach, he would have been out the door. Ohio Pats fan, I have Gurley and Melvin Gordon on the bench. Who do I go with, Dave? Oh, man, that's tough. Honestly, I would stick with Gurley, but don't expect anything. And the reason why I say, oh, wait, hold on. Melvin Gordon had 2 touchdowns. Melvin Gordon also had less carries than Danny Woodhead. And Danny Woodhead's 145 pounds soaking wet. All right, Danny Woodhead got more rushing attempts than Melvin did last week. So, I mean, if you have to pick one or the other, I'd probably still stick with Gurley because, I mean, you really can't bench Todd Gurley. As much as it stinks to see the situation he's in on that team, you really can't do it. It's tough. Bird Gang, his top 10 teams. We'll get to those in a second. Ohio Pats fan. I believe he's a free agent after this year or next. I think this is regarding Jimmy Garoppolo. Don't see him sticking around when he could start elsewhere, and they sure as hell aren't cutting Brady. Well, no, they're not cutting Brady, and I know Brady wants to play for at least a couple more years, as crazy as it sounds. But I really like Jimmy Garoppolo. I really do. So, I mean, if that happens and the Pats don't want to re-sign him, as crazy as this sounds, and they could offer him a decent amount of money to stay as a backup. But we'd have to wait and see. I think he still has a year or two in that contract, though. So he'll be in New England for a little bit. Let me go through some of the other comments. Who am I? Is this Andrew Kim? Andrew Kim, I was talking about, I believe, the Fantasy Football League. Let me see who I'm playing this week. It might be Andrew. Just to make sure here. I don't know why my internet is so slow right now. Week 2. Come on. Week 2, no, I don't think so. No, I'm not playing Kookie Kim. Oh, Andrew Kim's playing Bird Gang. So you two can duke it out with FanDuel comment bots. It's none of my business. None of my business this week. XKT. Here's a fantasy football question. I gave up. This is XKT. He gave up Cam Newton, Melvin Gordon, and Jimmy Graham for Andrew Luck and OBJ. Did I win? Man, that's a tough one. Man, that's a tough one. I'd say you won. Because Cam Newton, he's going to put up the points. Andrew Luck, when he's not hurt, I believe Andrew Luck put up a bunch of points last week. So, it's like you traded Melvin Gordon and Jimmy Graham for OBJ, which I'd say, I mean, if Jimmy Graham doesn't play like Jimmy Graham has in the past, I'd say you won that trade. How about some Week 2 game predictions, Dave? All right, let's do it right now. We'll do that, and then we'll get to the power rankings. So let's take a look at the schedule for week number 2. We're heading in, I believe, tomorrow. We're going to see the Bills and the Jets duke out there. They're playing in Buffalo. God, goodness gracious. That's going to be a close game. That's going to be a tough one. I mean, I wish some of the defensive guys in Buffalo, if some of the defensive guys weren't hurt, I'd probably go Buffalo. But I might go with the Jets on this one. Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. Going to go with Pittsburgh there. Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown, man. If you guys watch that game on Monday night against the Redskins, oh my goodness. It was backyard football, and it was awesome. I loved watching that. It was super cool to watch those two connect a couple different times for touchdowns. I'm going to have to take Pittsburgh on this one. I'm winning the division this year. I think they go over Cincinnati at home. Tennessee at Detroit. Detroit, where did they put – they never put up 39 points anymore. They put up 39 last week against the Colts. They have Tennessee coming to them at home. I'm going to take Detroit on this one. Baltimore at Cleveland. Now, RG3 goes down. He's on the IR. At least he's out for 8 weeks. McCown comes in. Baltimore. I'm going to take Baltimore on this one. Divisional game, but Cleveland, man, still getting bad luck thrown their way. Dallas at Washington. I'm going to go with Dallas. Washington looked very sluggish. Dallas, I thought, had a couple of unlucky plays against the Giants last week. So I'm going to take Dallas there. New Orleans at New York. The New York Giants. I think this one has shootout written all over it, I think. God knows who's going to win this game. If this game is, make sure you watch this one, man. I think Eli Manning and Drew Brees are going to just go to town. So, I don't know. I can see the Saints winning this one. I'm going to go Giants. Pick the Giants. Screw it. Niners at Carolina Panthers. I'm going to go with Panthers. Miami at New England. Going to go New England. KC at Houston. I'm going to stick with the home team on that. I'll go with Houston. Seattle at Los Angeles. Going to go Seattle. Tampa Bay at Arizona. I'm going to go with Arizona. Jacksonville at San Diego. Going to go Jacksonville. Atlanta at Oakland. Going to go with Oakland. Indianapolis at Denver. That might be a good one right there. Oh, man. You know what? Andrew Luck's coming back healthy this season. He's got to make it happen, man. He's got to be the guy this season. I'm going to go with the Colts on the road on that one. Packers at Minnesota. Minnesota had some trouble against Tennessee last week until their defense bailed them out. I'm going to go with the Packers against Minnesota. And they still have that, I wouldn't say question mark at quarterback, but Sam Bradford still needs to get into that groove. I'm going to go with the Packers. And then the Monday night game, the Eagles at the Bears. Philadelphia, actually, I'd not expect them to I wouldn't say looked really good. I would say they ran the operations in Philadelphia ran smoother than I thought they would last week against Cleveland. I'll take Philly on the road against the Bears on Monday Night Football. So those are my predictions. I haven't looked at FanDuel Comment Box. Haven't looked at your guys' predictions or none of that. Oh, you guys are talking about those Thursday night. What are they called? Those jerseys that they just came out with. Jason Face talking about the Patriots and the Texans wearing the same color for I think Color Rush uniforms. It's not as easy doing a solo show just because usually if Ezra's talking, I have time to read the comments and respond. Now I have to pause and read. Bird Gang says the Cardinals look clean. Those Color Rush uniforms. I'd have to say I probably like the Cardinals uniforms the most. I liked how they looked. They look pretty cool. But let's get to power ranks. Let's do that. So do they have 2016 up? Where the heck is ESPN's power rankings? This says 2015. What the heck? Try this again. I just want to see what they have compared to where I would potentially rank some of these teams. They have the Packers at 1. Week 1 ranking number 6. So they jumped up 5 spots to number 1. I don't know about that for the Packers. I think that's a little bit of a jump. New England Patriots 3 last week according to ESPN. Now they're number 2. Seahawks were number 1. They fell down to 3. I can see that with only squeaking out by 2 against the Dolphins. Pittsburgh was 2nd. Now they're up 4. I'd almost say Pittsburgh might be 1. The way they looked against the Redskins. All right. Okay. Cardinals at 5. They went down 1 spot. Carolina Panthers at 6. They went down one spot. Houston Texans looks like they had one of the biggest jumps. Went from 13 to 7. That's interesting to me. I don't know if I think of Houston Texans as a top 10 team yet. Broncos are number 8. They stayed the same. Bengals went 7 to 9, even though they won their first game of the year. Oakland went from 11 to 10. And then you got the Chiefs, Vikings, Ravens, Buccaneers. The Buccaneers went from 24 to 14. And Jameis Winston did look impressive last week. So, watch out for the Bucs. I actually have a wild card team in the NFC this year. See any big jumps or any big drops here? Cowboys went from 23 to 18 with their loss. Where do they have? Who's the last team? The Bears are 29th. Niners are 30th. Rams 31st. And Browns 32nd. So, interesting here. I mean, where I would rank the teams, I think I already told you guys. I think Steelers are number 1. I'd probably have the Patriots at 2, the Packers at 3, the Cardinals at 4, the Panthers at 5, the Seahawks at 6, the Broncos at 7. Man. I don't know about Houston, though. Houston, that was one game I didn't really watch. I didn't really get to see. I know Will Fuller actually had a big game as a rookie. It says right here, became the first Texans rookie to gain 100 receiving yards in a season opener, which is big because you got now 2 big weapons for Brock Osweiler if Will Fuller is the real deal. So I got the 7, 8, 9, and 10. I'd maybe put no. This is tough. I think I need another week to really determine a top 10. Week 1 is just a little too early for me. I know someone else in the FanDuel comment box put up their rankings here. Let me go find them. Bird Gang said Patriots 1, Broncos 2, Steelers 3, Panthers 4, Packers 5, Cardinals 6, Seahawks 7, Bengals 8, Chiefs 9, Giants 10. So a couple teams I didn't really consider there. Jimmy G over Aaron Rodgers, says Black Mamba. Now, Black Mamba, I don't do drugs. All right, never have I ever done drugs. But I would go to the doctor, man. I would get that checked out. I don't know what you have. I don't know what you've been doing. But, I like Jimmy G. But to say over Aaron Rodgers, I think you got to go to the doctor, man. You got to get that checked out. Something wrong with you. Pats can go 16-0. According to Jason Fay. Black Mamba riding the Jimmy G train. Jimmy G going 4-0. I'd say the Patriots always been a real deal. It's not a surprise for me, man. And Bill Belichick has those rights to essentially be the GM of that team, pick the players he wants, draft the players he wants. He knew what he was getting himself into with Jimmy G. It's a Bill Belichick guy. Angry Birds of Chaos, is Mike Vick going to the Browns? Absolutely not. He's not going to the Browns. I highly doubt it. The Browns, let's not forget, the Browns are no longer the Browns. I think some of their GM, Sashi Brown, and a couple other of those guys up in the, in management, they're starting to make some smarter decisions. They're starting to make some more decisions regarding the coaching staff, regarding the players they're drafting, how they're drafting, who they're bringing in free agency. So Mike Vick does not fit that mold that they have going on in Cleveland right now. It just doesn't work. I'd be going to Cleveland. I don't see Mike Vick playing in the NFL ever again, which is not crazy, I don't think, for me to say. I don't think that's crazy to say. I don't know why people are saying, let's see Mike Vick. Mike Vick is done, man. Mike Vick is washed up. If Mike Vick had anything left in the tank, he would be playing for one of the teams right now. But he's done. If he had anything left, he would at least be on a roster somewhere. He's not. He's toast. He's done. He's finished. Bird Gang, Josh McDaniels needs to be a head coach already. Josh McDaniels already was a coach at one point. Johnny Football, come back to the Browns, says Jake Kubik. Johnny Football might never even play a football again. You want to talk about Mike Vick not ever playing football again? Johnny Football might not ever. I don't know about that, man. Black Mamba, I took the pill to see the real world. Jimmy G over Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, man. Black Mamba, man, you keep dreaming over there. You keep dreaming. You're dreaming real good about Jimmy G. You got a man crush going on. Ohio Pats fan, kind of unfortunate that RG3 went down. Had a somewhat impressive preseason. Would have liked to see what he could have done with Josh Gordon back, and as would I. You know, I think Josh Gordon is one of those players who has a lot of potential, man. I know Ezra gets on me for this, but I mean, just get the ball to Josh Gordon once he comes back. Just get him the ball. I hope he looks like he did a couple years ago. Angry Birds of Chaos. Who would you rather have, Johnny Football or Michael Vick? Ah, God. Oh, man. Gosh, that's such a bad question. Because Mike Vick is old. He's not gonna do very much for it. He's just not gonna do anything. He's washed up. Johnny Football potentially has that talent, but he's got all the off the field issues. I'd rather take myself over those two. I wouldn't want either one. I like where are all these Patriots fans coming from, man? I think Drew Lee is a Patriots fan. You got Ohio Pats fan. You got Black Mamba. Well, Drew Lee, I find this interesting. I've heard people say that the Patriots trade Jimmy for a first-round pick, maybe 2 first rounds. I say we keep him, sign him long-term, but that's just me. Fine, okay. Ohio Pats fan, as a big Pats fan as I am, Jimmy is no Aaron Rodgers yet. Capital Y, capital E, capital T. Kettle, you guys are crazy. I love Jimmy G. But he's not Aaron Rodgers, man. He's just not. He's not. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He had 1 full game now. I don't know, maybe he had some playing time last year. I can't remember. I don't know. But let's play. Hey, hold on now. He was one of my favorite quarterbacks coming out of that draft, too. What draft was that? Was that Bortles? Was that Bortles, Manziel, Teddy Bridgewater, Derek Carr, Garoppolo? I might have been that draft. I liked them coming up, but let's hold off on the better than Aaron Rodgers stuff, man. I'm reading your guys' comments. You guys are crazy. Yeah, 2014. I know I'm usually on for an hour and a half when I have Ezra. But I think I'm going to only be on for an hour tonight. Only because, solo show, kind of sitting here talking to myself. Taylor Kern on Twitter asks, who would you drop? I believe this is a fantasy football question. Rivers, Stafford, or Dalton? Goodness. Man, those are your 3 quarterbacks? I don't know if you drop Dalton. I don't know if you drop Stafford. Maybe Rivers with him losing Keenan Allen. I don't know. That's a tough one. Maybe guys in the FanDuel comment box can answer that one. If you guys have to drop Rivers, Stafford, or Dalton, who would you drop in fantasy football? Maybe you guys can answer that for who was that on Twitter? Taylor Kern. Angry Birds of Chaos says, I would drop Dalton. So there's that from Angry Birds of Chaos. Any other big headlines kind of going into week 2? Besides, I guess, the whole national anthem thing that continues to be news. We talked about RG3. He's going to be out. Here's a little bit of news. Former Bengals wide receiver Chad Johnson is one of 94 nominees for the Pro Football Hall of Fame at 2017. He's already been out of the league for 5 years. There's some news. There's really... Let me see. So it says, according to ESPN, top headlines. Nothing. If you guys don't know, Russell Wilson looks like he's on track to start against the Rams this week. He had an ankle injury, I believe, and everyone's like, "Oh, it looks like he's out for a little bit of time now." It looks like he's playing. We talked about the Broncos players getting fined for Cam Newton hits. As crazy as it is, I looked over week 1, predicted some week 2, went over the power rankings. Color rush uniforms. Where's the McNutt news at? The McNutt news is quiet now that now that we found out we can draft Marvin McNutt in the fantasy football league on ESPN. That kind of was a little bit of a downer too. I think Ezra was searching for his name when we were drafting, and he's not in the database or whatever to draft players there. So, Ohio Pass fan, I can't bring up McNutt without Ezra here. JamX12, Leroy Butler needs to be inducted to the Hall of Fame. Hey, man, I'm all for that one. Another Packer, why not? That'd be awesome. Now, Cardinals fans saying that they want Stafford after Palmer retires. I don't know if you want Stafford. Matthew Stafford can beat teams who have losing records, but he can't beat teams with winning records. Just can't do it. Never has really been able to do it. So before you guys say, "Oh, let's get Stafford," I don't know about that, man. I've seen him in the North. He can beat losing teams. He can't beat winning teams, and that was with Megatron. So be careful what you wish for with that one. Be careful what you wish for. Who do I play this week in fantasy football? I play Logan Ferris. I play Houday, who is 1-0. I got to make sure my lineup is set. Hick. Here, let me see. Maybe you guys can help me out because I think I have a little bit of a dilemma on my team. Maybe you guys can help me with this. So, yeah, this is my dilemma. I feel like I should start LeGarrette Blount at running back. He's playing the Dolphins at home. He looked pretty good last week, put up 11 fantasy points in the ESPN Standard League. And I want to put him in. Right now he's on my bench, but I don't know who to sit. I have Eddie Lacy and DeMarco Murray at running back. I have DeAndre Hopkins, Randall Cobb at receiver, and at the flex spot I have Willie Snead. But I want to put Blount in, and I don't know who to take out if I want to put in Blount. Snead put up 24 points last week. I can't really bench Cobb, can't really bench Hopkins. You don't even think about benching. Hopkins stays in. So, like, if you want to replace Snead with Cobb and bench Cobb, or replace either Lacey or Murray with Blunt, but I don't know. It's a tough choice. I have a tough choice to make here. Maybe I don't know if you guys have any suggestions on that. Jason Fade, did you talk about Terrence Williams? No, but I can in a second. I'm just reading the comments here. First ballot RZB Hall of Fame, Marvin McNutt. He'd be the first player in the Red Zone Blitz Hall of Fame over myself and Ezra. XKT says sit Cobb. Drewley says sit Eddie Lacy. Jamex says replace Cobb. Okay, that's interesting. All right. It might be something to consider. Jason Fay, did you talk about Terrence Williams? No, not really. Terrence Williams had a boneheaded play at the end of the Dallas Cowboys and New York Giants game where there's like 11 seconds left, and he catches the ball near the sideline, doesn't go out of bounds. They don't have any timeouts left. Instead, he cuts back towards the field instead of going out to the sideline and stopping the clock. Gets tackled, time runs out, game over. And they were trying to get into, I believe, field goal range. Just a boneheaded play. Awareness was not there with Terrence Williams. And I believe they lost by a point. It's just one of those things where, it's unfortunate that it happened. But then again, if you really wanted to win the game, you should have won the game. You shouldn't have had to, be in that situation as a team to be trying to claw to get into field goal range to force a player to make a mental mistake and not run out of bounds to stop the clock. It's one of those things where, yeah, he did make that mistake, but if you didn't want him to make the mistake, then win the damn game and don't sit there and try and get into field goal range. So, yeah, a little bit's on Terrence Williams, but then again, a little bit is on the rest of the team for, being in that situation. So, I'm not going to jump on Terrence Williams and kill the guy and call him a bum. He's a good football player. So that's my 2 cents. Maybe not Ezra-esque, where I don't know what he would think about that. Maybe call him an idiot, stupid, dumb, whatever, or somebody on ESPN who would just rip him a new one. I'm not going to do that. But so back to it looks like you guys are still answering that question I had for fantasy football. Start Lacey because Vikings struggle against power running backs. I think Cobb can be a good Cobb could have a good day because if Rhodes is out. Those receivers might feast. Cobb runs a slot. Munderland will be on Cobb. I don't know. I'll consider taking Cobb out, putting in Snead in Cobb's spot, and then playing Blunt. So you guys are saying, take Cobb out and play Blunt at the flex. That sounds like the consensus here that I'm getting from you guys. But it has already had an hour. I didn't even notice that. It has been an hour. Shout out to you guys for showing up big time. XKT, Drew Lee, Jason Fay, Bird Gang 12, Jamex, Angry Birds of Chaos, Ohio Pats fan, Black Mamba. Shout out to all you guys. Jake Kubik, Niner Faithful 52. Again, show would not be a show without you guys. Show would not be a show without the fans. The Red Zone Blitz is yet again for another week because of you guys. Hopefully we can get Ezra next week, but again, he had to work. He got his schedule and he let me know, hey, I can't get on the Red Zone Blitz. So in case that happens next week, I'm gonna try and see if I can get somebody else on, whether it's MJ or some other YouTuber that I can see if Ezra can't make it. But again, appreciate you guys tuning in tonight on the Red Zone Blitz. It's very much appreciated. You guys can always catch me on Twitter. I actually check my Twitter page for Wake Up It's Football, more than the Wake Up It's Football one on Facebook. But I'm there. Hit me up if you guys ever have any questions, football related or not. I'll always answer you guys' questions. And feel free to tell your friends about the Red Zone Blitz. Every night, hey, tune in. We're talking football, and all that good stuff. So, again, big thank you to you guys. Ohio Pats fan says I missed the draft profiles, Aves. They were some of my favorite on YouTube. That's how I found the Red Zone Blitz. Raider Hazard says you should get EDP 445. I would consider it, but he's got a lot of profanity. But I don't even know if he would consider jumping on with me. I doubt it. But Ohio Pats fan, back to your point about the draft profiles. Yeah, those are something I really like to do. Really liked doing in 2014, where I could put game tape in until some company ended up shutting my videos down. And that the momentum kind of stopped for me there, because I like to have people be able to visualize what I'm seeing. Like Jimmy Garoppolo is an example. You guys talked about him all night. When I watched his tape, his feet in the pocket, active, quick release. He's one of those guys that I really love, but you had to see the tape in order to see what I was seeing, and I can't do that anymore. And SB Nation can't help me. I tried to reach out to them, hey, help me out. Nobody says crap to me, so I can't. I really wish I could visualize that for you guys by putting plays in, but I'll see if I can change that up in 2017 if I have the time to put up draft profiles. But I try, man. I try. But anyway, as to some other YouTubers, I actually did reach out to a big YouTuber who said he would love to join my show, but he's not available tonight. But if Ezra is not on for whatever reason, I'll contact him again. I'm not going to throw his name out there yet, but I'll contact him, let him see if he's available. If he's on, I'll get him on. But anyway, thanks to all you guys. Appreciate it. It was a 1 hour short show, but hey, we'll hopefully be on next week for week 2 recapping that. That's all I got for you guys tonight. I'm out.